Here is my recap and review of The Mandalorian Chapter 12 entitled The Siege. Let's find out if The Mandalorian actually meets up with Ahsoka Tono. All right, in this episode, we have the Mandalorian headed back to Navarro because his ship is damaged. He can't make it to the planet where Ahsoka actually is. When he shows back up, he meets back up with both Greef Karga, played by Carl Weathers, and Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano or Carano. I'm not sure how you say her last name, but these were the same individuals that he left right at the end of season 1. Moff Gideon is nowhere to be found. I kind of figured Moff Gideon would have stuck around to clean up, but he hasn't. They let him know that they'll help repair his ship, but they also need his help to rid the planet of one hot zone still left on the planet before they can make it completely safe. And it is an Imperial base that they have to go to. They also meet up with Mythrol, the Mandalorian's first bounty in the first episode, the blue guy that he met at the bar at the very beginning. I didn't know this, but that character is played by Horatio Sands from Saturday Night Live. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But they meet up with him and they need his help in this episode, so he's in it throughout. So they end up going to this base. The Mandalorian says, Din tells him, yes, I'll help you guys. So they get to the base and they find some resistance there, not a ton of resistance, but enough that they have to fight their way out. And they also, while they're there, find out what the Empire originally wanted with the child. They needed its blood for they're doing some kind of clone experiments, and they needed his blood for something, and they're still looking. And so they want the child back. So Moff Gideon is still looking for the child, and that's what we find out. Right before they leave to go to the base, Greef actually sends a couple of people to go and take care of the Mandalorian ship. So by the time Din gets back, he'll be able to leave. What's amazing is, doesn't look like this episode takes place in more than 3, maybe 4 hours. And over that time, they repair his entire ship, which I find to be kind of strange at how quickly they were able to do that. Now, in that scene where he sends a couple of people to repair it, one of those people, you can clearly see on their face that they don't have good intentions. So in the very final scene of the episode, you find out that there was a tracker placed on Din's ship so that Moff Gideon can track him. So he's definitely tracking him to wherever Ahsoka Tano is going to be. So we can already see where this is headed towards the end of the season. Now, this marks the midpoint of the season. So here are my thoughts about the episode. I want to talk about what I liked and what I didn't like. This was the worst directed episode of the entire series so far. Everyone seemed very stiff. They didn't seem comfortable in their roles. And I found out at the end when the credits came up that this was actually directed by Carl Weathers, which surprised me because he's kind of a veteran actor. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything he's directed, but I thought his directing style was very stiff, not natural at all. So the acting was off. Now, the story was pretty good. But I want to talk about what we've gotten in the first 4 episodes here. So what has the Mandalorian netted since he left Navarro at the beginning of the season to where he is right now? Well, not a whole lot. Only the name Ahsoka Tano and where to find her, and Boba Fett's armor. Outside of that, he hasn't really gained anything. And he's back on Navarro. So he's actually in no better shape than when he left the planet at the beginning of the season. And honestly, where he is at the end of this episode was exactly where he was at the end of last episode. So he hasn't gotten anywhere. The only thing he gained in this episode was his ship getting fixed. So I can see where this show is and what the writers are doing. They're taking their time to get to the point. Are these episodes terrible? No, but I am bagging on it at this stage because of what they're doing with the story. They're not really moving it forward. They're already recycling characters that we've seen in previous episodes. He's meeting back up. He's having to backtrack. He's going back to the same planets again and again. And it's not, the galaxy's a huge place. Like, this seems completely unnecessary to me. Like they don't know what to do to move the story forward. So my bet is we're not going to see Ahsoka Tano in the next episode or the next one, or even possibly the next one. My guess is we may not see her until the very last episode. I had a feeling that they were going to do this. And I told my friends last week, the ones I talked to about this episode, last week's episode, that I bet it's at least 2 episodes till we see her. And they thought it was definitely going to happen this episode. And I said, no, this is the midpoint of the season. We are actually halfway done. They never do anything big at the halfway point, ever, in any series, any season. So this is the halfway point. Was this a terrible episode? No, it is highly entertaining. But we kind of got the stormtroopers in the corridor again, kind of like what we had in the last episode. They tend to have a lot of corridors killing stormtroopers. It's another recycled thing that they're doing in these episodes. So you will be thoroughly entertained the entire time you watch the episode. But as far as actually moving the story forward and doing what they need to, they're beating around the bush. There's no way to put it at this stage. They are taking forever to where they need to get. And I could tell you that the Mandalorian does not know how to take care of his ship. I mean, holy crap, how many times has this thing been just about destroyed in the 12 episodes we've had? He needs to take better care of his ship. But they keep using these as plot points to get him to go back to places he's already been. I'm just kind of over the story at this point. I think we're just going to have to go along for the ride and just like it because it's Star Wars. At least it captures the feel. But man, these writers really got to step up their game because they are just not getting to the point at all. And they keep recycling these ideas. So if I had to give this on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd have to give it a 7. I can't give it any higher than that because it's just, they're not doing anything with the story. They're beating around the bush, but it's still enjoyable to watch. There's my recap and review of The Mandalorian, Chapter 12, entitled The Siege. We'll see what they come up with next week. Thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and like the video too. I would appreciate that. The likes help and all the support helps. I do appreciate it. And meet me back here next week with the next review and recap for episode 13.